16 grand VAT bill that, yeah, has put us back into ultimately our overdraft. And that is the reality of it. Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the vlog. It is a new week in the life of a 23-year-old business owner. Let's see what we get up to this week. I always tell my clients, don't get disheartened or, feel ashamed that this has gotten on top of you, because everyone's got their own lives, and let's be real, you can spend a full-time job in a garden. Often it's like, well, instead of pricing yourself out a job, what is your budget? What does your budget allow? And then we can go and do that.
Absolutely excellent. We were so fortunate to find Morrison's. They've done a really fantastic job for us.
You should be proud of yourselves, boys. It looks good. Good effort.
There you go. Cheers, mate.
Nice one. See you later. Just been to an appointment. What appointment, you might ask? For the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, year and a half maybe at least, I've been coming to Yeah. Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the vlog. It is a new week in the life of a 23-year-old business owner. Let's see what we get up to this week. It's Monday morning and I'm just leaving the yard. The guys have came in and they've got set up for their job this morning. Yeah, got out the door relatively sharp. The whole team are on a tidy up job that we do annually for a regular customer. We call it the secret garden because the garden is like a wilderness. A very well established garden is probably the way to put it. So yes, so they are doing that just now. I'm currently just away out to go and look at the job that they did on Friday, the hedge trimming and stuff. And also look at giving the customer a price for doing the leaves. And there's quite a lot of debris and windblown stuff around the garden. Providing the price is right, they may want the leaves done, but yeah, there was also quite a lot of work in the hedge trimming, so whether it's in their budget we will see, but it's a job I will price nonetheless. Damien is away this week. He's off on his football adventure. He goes off sort of through the winter months to do the sign writing for UEFA, so yeah, he's off this week. He'll be back next week. Mole is in today and tomorrow, and then he is off on holiday for 11 days, so yeah, we've got him for the start of the week, but we will be 2 men down by midweek. This next little while we're going to be cracking on with a lot of the tidy up work that we've got, and also the leaf clearing. We've got the leaf vacuum, the Trillo leaf vac servicing up and running, so that'll be good to utilise and yeah, get it out there earning some money. As I mentioned in the last video, it's a sort of work that I like doing because yeah, you're using machinery to do the work and to do the hard work for you essentially. The leaf vacuum, when you've got a massive pile of leaves, and it does absolutely wonders in collecting it and then throwing it into the back of the pickup, it just saves a lot of manual labour. So yeah, the guys have done a good job on the hedges. But what really annoys me is when you come back, the following week and there's all the branches that stick up there in the wind. Getting there now? Hello. Willow. Your name's not Willow. Rudu. Jaeger. Hi. This way. What are we doing?
Trimming some hedges in our secret,
story of our life.
In our secret garden.
It truly is.
And for a change though, it's not frozen, because normally we come here, it's completely frozen.
It is, that's right enough, yeah. You're hiding.
Come off.
It's actually come off?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring the saw tomorrow and just get that on the deck. Right, so I've left the guys to crack on with that job. They're going to try and get the majority of it done today, and then maybe a couple of them will go back tomorrow and get it finished. That's what we've allowed in the sort of budget to the client. Some of the jobs that we do, we tend to give a sort of budget or a cost for like a day rate, because some of these gardens you could spend a day in or you could spend a week in, and the longevity of how long you stay there will determine how much you kind of do. So often it's like, well, instead of pricing yourself out of a job, what is your budget? What does your budget allow? And then we can go and do that. It is quite a lazy way of pricing, because you almost price yourself out of money, but then it's also a safe way of pricing because you guarantee that you're getting the money for the work that you do. We've never had any issues with people saying, oh, you didn't do enough or anything like that. We've always had great success with it, but essentially I think you're leaving money on the table if you do it all the time. Whereas opposed, if you give the client a price and you come in under that sort of budgeted hours, then you're winning. The job is still done to the standard that the client expects, and that they're happy with the price that you've given them to do said job. So it's a bit of a catch-22. I think you can probably do some like that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but not all the time. We're definitely trying to come away from like pricing day rates. I never used to do it ever, but when you go into gardens that have got a lot involved, like that garden down there, you could spend a month in, just being really thorough and having a right good tidy up. It's just important to get an understanding of what the client's budget is and what you can actually deliver for that. But it is quite hard to put in black and white, it's going to be X amount to do X, Y and Z, because when you're clearing a bed back, how thorough do you go? Are we clearing it back to soil? Are we just cutting the growth back? Are we just giving it a light tidy up? Or are we giving it a right good dig out? So it's one of those things when it comes to garden maintenance or sort of clearance jobs, which we do quite a lot of. They're a very good earner for us. Then how far do you go with it? So that's why when we give that sort of estimation of how long we think it might take, and then the price to do so, then they go, right, okay, this is what we're expecting to get for the money that we pay. Anyway, I'm in the van, as I'm sure you have noticed, and I'm away through to Aviemore to get some bits and pieces. I also need to look at a job for a regular client, a potential fence to remove some trees that are just getting a little bit too big beside the house. A new fence. God, the bloody lane assist in this thing. So yeah, they're around on Mondays and Fridays, so I'm going to go and catch them today. Need to pick up a door for the bathroom or the toilet in the shed, a few other bits and pieces, and then another job to go and look at as well. So yeah, just kind of spending today getting things organised and getting on top of some inquiries and stuff like that. So it is, however, a beautiful warm day. Good morning, folks. It is Tuesday and I'm currently walking the dogs on this quite calm Tuesday morning. The guys have just left for their jobs for the day. Ed and Joe are returning to yesterday's job to finish up and just do a bit more fine tuning. The guys did a great job yesterday of getting that cracked on. Kyle, Dav and Mole are out at another job where we're basically going to be giving a garden a right good overhaul again. Do love these kind of jobs where you can make such a big transformation, and yeah, you can see the instant difference once you're finished. I always tell my clients, don't get disheartened or feel ashamed that this has gotten on top of you, because everyone's got their own lives, and let's be real, you could spend a full-time job in a garden just keeping on top of it while it grows. So yeah, I feel like a lot of clients are almost embarrassed to show me their gardens at sometimes, but I says that's why we're here, to help. A lot of our clients love their garden and they do bits themselves, but a lot of it is quite heavy work, it's hard work, and if we've got the kit and the machinery to make it easier and the know-how, then yeah, that's when people call us in. So it's quite a big project that we're going to be starting. Just in terms of the sort of scope of works, we're going to be digging out all of the beds back to a sort of blank canvas. There's a lot of weeds and grass and sort of perennial plants that she doesn't want in, and yeah, we're actually going to be bringing the digger in to assist with that with the riddle bucket, because I think the ground isn't quite good either. So I said we will try and riddle out the stones and get some of that good soil back in to the beds. We'll probably look at getting some topsoil or compost imported as well. Now is a good time to do that, and it's a perfect job for this time of year where things are starting to slow down, even through the winter months. As long as we don't have too hard of a snow and frost, we can crack on with stuff like that. So yeah, we are relatively busy just now. What I don't want to do is get into that trap again where we are so busy, I take my eye off the ball, we crack out all the work, and then before I know it, I've got nothing to go and do. And then you're chasing your tails, you're chasing inquiries, you're getting back to people, you know, a little bit later. You want to try and keep up that consistent sort of flow of leads and inquiries and jobs into the diary so that you are booked out in advance. And it's also at this time of year trying to juggle what we can do now while the weather is still okay, and then pushing things back to when there's snow on the ground and yeah, we can't really get to the work. We've got a few fences in the diary, and although it's not pleasant to be fencing in snow and cold conditions, it's still something that we can sort of semi-crack on with. But right at this moment in time, the priority is definitely getting through the work that we've currently got, because there's no point pushing work back to not be able to do it when the weather is bad, and you know, essentially leaving money on the table currently. There is that kind of balance that I struggle to find of, well, I could go out there and you know, work on the tools more than I already do. You know, I'm probably a couple of days a week on the tools. I always kind of struggle to find that balance of, well, me being the owner, I've kind of taken a step back into the managerial role. I'm not always on the tools. I'm still very much in work gear, and I get involved probably a couple of days a week, but I'm always trying to get, you know, new leads in and do the sort of important tasks as such. But when I'm on the tools, I often feel the guilt that I shouldn't be here. There's a more important job to go and do, which is getting the work in, because I've been there before where you've got 6 or 7 guys standing in the yard and you've not really got much in the pipeline because I haven't been proactive. I've got caught up on the tools trying to get the jobs done. While it is important that we go and get the work done and we get the money in, I also don't want to consume the work for the guys, if you know what I mean. I don't want to take away their workload. Now, if we were booked out till 6 months time, of course, you know, I would jump back on and get going. And at this time of year, I really should kind of be doing that, because we let Aaron go. Aaron's obviously going to be a plumber, so we're a man down, and then when guys are on holidays and stuff like that, that's when I try and step back in and fill the gap as such. I definitely struggle to find the structure in my day of how to, you know, schedule myself effectively. It always kind of works itself out, but I always kind of feel like I'm not going in circles, but just not as structured and routine as I'd like to be. And I always have kind of struggled to have that sort of, you know, this is what you're doing through the day, unless of course it was, you know, the job for the day, you know, on the tools. So it is difficult. I'm trying to make sense of what my thoughts are right now. I have not had a coffee yet though, so it probably is a little bit slurred and jumbled. But remaining positive coming out of last week, which was quite a successful week, and hoping that this weather continues for as long as it can. But I am not naive in the fact that it is November and it is going to get cold very soon. In the meantime, we have been pushing on with the shed. We've got the workbench at the back, bathrooms going in. I keep calling it a bathroom. A toilet is going in, and we've got the door arriving and getting fitted next week. So I am trying to take a step back, believe it or not, in the yard ideas. You know, I want to have a wash bay put up there, so I'm going to get a container with the pressure washer and everything in it, but that's not going to happen this year. So I am taking a step back. But I need to get this door in so that the shed is secure and waterproof, so that we can move into it, and then that will be a big push for us. Currently, as you can see, there is no door. Up in the back, up in, up, 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 up in the back. Showing off with your long legs, Jaeger. Oh, Roo. Go on, you can do it. You can do it. Give me that ball, Dead. Give it. Sir Banjo goes in the front because he's a senior. Hey Banj, is that right? Come here then. So yes, it will be good to move into this space and have a bigger workshop that we can come in, and yeah, I can at least get a vehicle in here. It'll be pretty tight, but if I leave the floor space open, then I'll be able to take my pickup in, close the door, and just hoover the inside. Just something as simple as that would be amazing, with a nice heater on. Or if we want to work on the trailer, or I've got these beefy flaps for the trailer that go on the back. Oh, okay, so they go on the tailgate. They go on the back of the trailer, and just something as simple as reversing it in here, jacking it up and getting it on. Nice dry floor. Yeah, never really had that luxury, but appreciate the luxury that we've had over quite a lot of people who struggle to get that sort of commercial space, which I appreciate isn't always easy. Depends where you live. Some people tend to have an abundance of opportunity in terms of commercial storage and yard space, and then other people just have nothing at all. So yeah, grateful to have this space. It's taken a lot of work, a lot of money, but hopefully it will be worth it. Hopefully just to make operations smoother. Hopefully we can have the vans parked up side by side, just getting loaded up in the morning, not being bottlenecked down there. Have all the tools and equipment up here in containers and storage and dry storage. Have the ability to wash the vehicles and the kit down, because it's not something that we've been able to do well this year. And it's just overall sort of maintenance and structure and yeah, things having a place, which would be nice. Anyway, I'm going to go have a coffee because functioning is difficult. Sun is shining and you're still cold.
The wind's cold.
It's the best thing about the chain, you can catch bits.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the guys are cracking on with the hedge at the back. This was all before very tall and it wasn't really a hedge. So we're trying to get it to fill out into a hedge. So getting it into that sort of shape initially. This is just a fraction of this in here. Prioritising this sort of hedge at the back. There's quite a lot of trees and stuff to sort of thin out. Shrubs right the way around the front. And then out the very front, there's a sort of, the customer is waving at me, there's a sort of roadside verge that the guys are clearing. So they've got the chipper set up, got a little system going, and yeah, lovely day for it. So this is the roadside that we're trying to open up. So this verge is actually quite overgrown, and especially up around there, you can't really see when you're coming around the corner. So just to open this up a little bit, because there's a number of houses up there, so it is actually quite busy. A few people ask me about the sort of sides that I've got on the crafter. Now this obviously came with no sides at all, like the big sides, and we actually had it on our old Transit where we had these sides made that could come on and off, and it made the tipper a versatile vehicle. Both sides you can take sort of inert material, soil and stuff, but when you're taking green waste away, this is the perfect sort of van that you want. Now we tend to leave it off through the summer because we were using it more for sort of landscaping. Now that it's coming into sort of hedge trimming season and tidying up, and we're doing more of this sort of work, we've put the high sides on. One thing I did ask this time was to get this chip flap made, just to stop it making a mess. This could have been a little bit longer, I think, just to try and catch the chip, but yeah, it still does make a difference. But you do sometimes get a little bit on top of the roofs, some dust and what have you. I think if we go and get a tipper next, we're going to be looking at getting a solid side ARB van, because the mesh is handy, it is really good, but when you're chipping into it, it does come out the sides. It will, build up against there and hold. It's not going to come through that, but little bits do. And yeah, it can be a bit messy sometimes. So potentially looking at the Isuzu Grafter ARB tippers, because I see that they are quite popular, and I quite like the idea of just having a designated sort of workhorse lorry type van, and hopefully that's something that will start to integrate into the fleet over time, where all the vans are the same. And for the landscaping side of things, we don't need the high sides, so we can just get the low side body, and I believe the payload is probably the best out of the tippers on the market. So yeah, just food for thought. This is a cracking van. I've obviously converted the sides. We had these done by Van Fit Solutions, so we have storage, in the sides. Taking the seats out, it has made it a lot more practical of a vehicle. It is, however, very long. And the turning circle isn't the greatest. It's so hard to know what van to get for what job, and I don't think there's a right answer. Everyone's got their sort of pros and cons. One thing to note though is the payload in this is pretty rubbish, so you cannot take very much weight. But if you're just using it for green waste, then it's fine, because green waste is typically quite light. So yeah. So left the guys to it, just going to head back and see how Ed and Joe are getting on. Lovely couple there that we're doing the work for. Yeah, I've always said this, it always makes such a difference when you've got kind, genuine people who you're working for, and people who appreciate and value your time and what you're doing for them. I think a lot of customers think that they're doing you a favour when they get you in to do the work. And once upon a time maybe that was true, but yeah, it's certainly not how I look at it now. It's one thing you've got to remember, and I had this conversation with a guy who, Alex, who jumped on a coaching call with me the other day on Sunday there. He was having some troubles with where he wants to take the business. He was working 7 days a week and he was flat out and he wasn't sure if he could take on an employee. I think the fact that he was working 7 days a week was a pretty obvious indicator that he, has enough work to take on an employee, but then also, is he charging enough? I says, how much of the work do you actually win? He says, all of it. You shouldn't be winning all of the work. If you're not losing 50% of your quotes, then I don't think you're charging enough. Whether that is the sort of the figure to go by, it depends on how much you're quoting, but you should not be winning that much work. Now, if you're in a different sort of market and you are high margin and you're making good money and you're winning most of this work because, I don't know, maybe you dominate the area or maybe there's not that much around, etc., then that's fine. But then you've got to ask yourself, if I'm still winning all this work, we're making good money, can we make more money? It's not about being greedy, it's not about being, trying to rip people off, which everyone seems to think you're trying to do. You're trying to run a business. We are a genuine, family-run business, trying to provide an excellent service for the people who come to us for that. It's a business at the end of the day. It's not personal, it's a business. Although I am the face of the business and I have one-to-one relationships with the clients, and the guys know the clients and they're trusted and everything like that, we are still a business, and people have got to remember that. And I have to remind myself that sometimes too, because it isn't easy. It's easy to take things personally and get too attached and get that sort of emotional connection. If you're not making enough money and your business is suffering because of that, that is your responsibility, and it is not your responsibility to be affordable to everyone in your area. Not everyone should be able to afford your services. That is not your responsibility. Who says that you owe anyone that? We go into business to try and make a better life for ourselves, to try and give ourselves a bit of freedom, and everyone gets stuck in that initial phase of, I'm not charging enough, I'm overrun with work, I don't like letting people down, etc. I've been told I'm too expensive and I've taken it to heart. It's easy to go through that, but the longer you sort of do that and experience it, your mind starts to shift and your mindset starts to shift. We are by far not the cheapest in the area, absolutely not, but we are one of the best. We have a great team working for us, we are professional, we do a great job, we try and get the best of the best kit for the job, and we try and make the whole customer experience better. That has value in it. You're not just paying for the outcome, because if you were, everyone would be painted with the same brush. Anyway, let's go see how Ed and Joe are getting on. This is one we've looked after for a number of years now, and unfortunately there has been over time an infestation of spider mite, and it started to kill off certain parts of the hedge completely. It is a real shame. I haven't looked into what treatments that we could offer to try and save these hedges. It's just never something I've really done, but I'm starting to see it a lot more around the area, and I don't want to sit back and not do something about it. So, because we have got some lovely hedges that we maintain, and it would be a shame to lose them. especially these conifers, which need babied. Speak the devil. I heard my name. What were you saying? Did you miss me? Did you miss me? As you can see, I mean, well, this is why we call it the secret garden, because it is like the secret garden. You wouldn't know this is down here, and it is a very well established garden at that. So when I first took on this job and we did an initial tidy up, all this was just sort of one big mirage of plants and shrubs. There was not much structure to it. So over the last couple of years we've maintained this. Once a year we've came in and given it a right good haircut once a year. All this sort of ground cover here, everything you see is usually covered in plants. But what we tend to do, because if you were to cut these out by hand, you'd be there forever. We tend to come in with a strimmer and strim everything back at the tail end of the year, gather it all up, and then come the springtime, what will flower will, you know, come back up and yeah, look really nice. So that is the sort of most efficient way to cut back such a large scale, and it certainly looks a lot neater for the winter. You know, when plants sort of die back and fold over and it looks a bit of a mess, it's not always nice. So yeah, we've just sort of added a bit of formality to the garden, you know, giving it some shape, some structure, isolating hedges and plants. These once upon a time used to be like one. You know, there wasn't a gap in between, so we've managed to isolate that, give it a bit more light and everything into the garden, and yeah, sort of turn it into what it is. So yeah, Ed and Joe are just doing some sort of more nitty-gritty stuff, doing the sort of finishing touches, if you like. We will be finished here today, and yeah, another good job done, and another long-standing customer who has trusted us with their garden whilst not being here for the last number of years. And that's always ones that we want to, yeah, impress. Do not ask, right? I don't want to hear it. I ran out of contact lenses, Mr. Four Eyes, and I am blind as a bat. I don't really like my glasses, but hey ho, got to be able to see. It's quite worrying when I take them off, like how little I can like see. It's just really blurred. Whoever invented these bad boys. Whoever invented the contact lens, even better. You've seen the guys leaving the yard this morning. They're heading back out to the job that they were on yesterday, Kyle's job, and yeah, going to start digging out the beds and things. They made good progress yesterday on the hedge and the trees and stuff, so most of the sort of cutting back and everything is done. They were kind of at a loose end, funnily enough, so they're going today to start digging out the beds. As you've seen, they had the digger on as well. That was to try and make life a little bit easier in some of the digging, and also turn over the soil a little bit, which is quite compacted. I've got a few quotes to send out this morning that I've been working on, and then we're getting another delivery from Crest today, and I don't know when it's going to arrive. I kind of need to be here for it because they want to deliver it to my house and not the yard. So I am planning on going out and helping them, but I want to maybe try and get an idea of when Crest are going to come, or just have to be by the phone, because it will be palletised, so it will need to either be shifted with a forklift, and I don't fancy shifting it from my driveway at home. Gillian making her way to work. So I've just grabbed the black coffee. Black coffee is now my new thing. I very rarely have milk in my coffees now, unless I'm, you know, treating myself. And yeah, get that down me. My nice sort of clean office, which I can show you. Yes, I gave the office, I know this is, it's not done, but I gave it a good clean yesterday. We got some filing cabinets, and this other cabinet thing, which will be handy for storage. And it's all sort of colour coordinated. And yeah, a wee setup. So I'm just on my way out to see the guys. It could turn up at the end of the day, and if I just wait around for it, then yeah, there's no point. So yeah, hopefully they'll phone or hopefully the driver will phone when they arrive, and then I can direct them where to go. I've put the tipping trailer on, and I've got some ground guards because yeah, I did think about this morning, but I forgot to sort of mention it to the guys. Probably a good idea to get some guards down just to protect the driveway and stuff, and minimise any soil contamination of the gravel. They have started using the digger, and I guess we'll just need to see. So this is the job. Ed's started clearing it out, scraping it back with a digger. So, back at the yard, we have another crest delivery. Come on, baby. Need to heat this thing up. Oh, I hate the glasses. Right guys, it is currently 5:20. As you've seen earlier, Chris had delivered a new cyber tank and also some more hedge trimming equipment. As some of you know, we got a cyber tank towards the start of the year, and there was a minor fault with it that was a common issue with a couple of them, and Chris had sent out the bit for me to replace, but I hadn't got round to doing it, and it annoys me that I didn't, but it just wasn't a priority, I guess. Mainly being that when we bolted that tank down onto the back of the beaver tail, it was bolted to sort of stay, so I didn't want to go in and bolt it, because I just didn't make the time to do it. And I said I would do it, we'll do it, and we never did. But we've got another one. I don't think it's quite the same one. I think it's this slightly lesser model. So that's to replace the one that's on the back. And hopefully, once we get the one off the back, and we can try and get that part replaced, because we can't do it on the back of the beaver tail the way it's in the box, then hopefully we might have two working cyber tanks to go into next season with, which I'm really excited about. Because I do want to try and push the battery side of the equipment, because it is hard going on your hands. It's hard going on the body using petrol equipment. The vibrations, the fumes, the noise. A lot of the guys are complaining about their hands and white finger and hand-arm vibration, and it's just like, it's very much a real thing. And I even struggle with my hands now. I get pins and needles. Anything slightly repetitive or doing it for a while, even like using the digger, if I've got my hands on the rests, my fingers start getting numb. If I've got my arms like on the rest, my hands get numb. So it's something that I take quite seriously, and whether or not I should feel responsible for the welfare of the guys to that degree. In fact, that shouldn't even be up for question, but I just think a lot of people don't really. And then it's also the fact that, like, can you afford to fork out for battery equipment? I'm very much aware that it's different, because we have been sent out these bits of kit to try and test and ultimately promote for Chris. If we didn't like the kit, we would not promote it. It's just plain and simple, because it's just, there's no point. We're running a business. It takes time to make these videos and video them on site and stuff. We wouldn't do it. There's no point, for just because it's free essentially. But I'm being transparent in the fact that we have been sent out. A lot of creators, I think, sugarcoat the fact that they've clearly been sent out equipment to try and promote. It's pretty obvious, and there's nothing to hide. but a lot of people think the credibility's gone because, oh, they're getting it for free. Of course they're going to, promote it, or they're getting paid. Of course they're going to promote it. We've turned away quite a few semi-smaller brands that have wanted to send us out things to try, and I haven't bothered because it's just not something that tailors to the business, or it's not something that I, actually like or value. Crest, on the other hand, I took a great interest to in the first time we met them at Grounds Fest, and privileged to be able to work with them and have that opportunity to, work alongside an up-and-coming, brand who's very much dominating the battery side of things in terms of what they've got available. So I just quickly had a look at what had arrived, and then I left, and I've just been to an appointment. What appointment, you might ask? For the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, year and a half maybe at least, I've been coming to a therapist. In fact, it must be 2 years. It must be coming up to 2 years. Yes, I have been seeing a therapist, and I feel like there's a big stigma around that. Maybe not so much anymore. Like it's definitely something that's sort of getting a bit more accepted in today's society, but there's still a bit of a stigma, especially around, like trades and the mentality of like the sort of blue collar worker, as such, is what I would class myself as. If you want to term it like that. There's a stigma about talking to people and like, going to therapy, and whenever I tell people I go to therapy, it depends who the person is, but they think that there's something seriously wrong, and it's like, well, no, I just got the things that I need to work on, and I am taking the step. Frog, missed it. I wasn't trying to hit it, I was trying to avoid it. Yeah, so like last year I wasn't in the greatest of places mentally, battling my own issues and stuff, and I decided to come and see a therapist, and that's when I learned that I had ADHD, and it answered a lot of questions about myself. Yeah, it's definitely been quite an eye-opening experience. I was going weekly at the time, and then we eventually went on to fortnightly because I didn't need to be, seen as much. But I just wanted to come on and talk about it because it's not something that people talk about a lot, and it's quite a private thing and a personal thing for me. But I feel like it's important because a lot of people watch these videos and they take inspiration and aspire to be in my situation and have what I have, which I totally appreciate, and I take. It just humbles me every time I get a message or a comment from people who say how much the videos inspire them. And it's not just all about business, it's about my journey in business and my journey in life as well. This is the whole idea of this channel. It's my personal experience with running a business. If you've got stuff to figure out and you're struggling to speak to people, I would 100% recommend you try therapy. Now, it depends what therapist you get. I've been to 2 in my lifetime. The first one wasn't very good, and this one now that I found has been great, and she's helped me learn a lot about myself, especially the ADHD side of things. And I've had conversations with people who either didn't quite understand or didn't really see the value in what I'm doing, and I often used to sort of try and hide the fact that I go to therapy, but I'm quite confident in sharing that now because I know the value that it gives me, and I know how important it has been for my development, my growth and personal development, which I take really seriously, and I wish a lot of people did too. Going to therapy or reaching out to people doesn't mean that you're weak or you're vulnerable or you're not a strong character. I'd like to think I was quite a strong, outgoing, forward character beforehand, but there was just things that I wanted to fix in myself or figure out about myself, and going to therapy has helped me do that. I mean, in a nutshell, I think everyone should go to therapy because everyone's got baggage, everyone's got stuff going on in their life, and there's a lot of people going to be watching this thinking, shut up Ben, like get on with it, like what nonsense you're speaking, like therapist, shite, whatever. That's okay, and there is going to be people out there who do think that. But the idea of this vlog is to showcase what I'm doing, and this is a part of my journey. I've taken some time out of my day to come to therapy I left the guys on the job. What it does is it gives me an hour to speak my mind to someone who's a neutral person who has, a professional opinion on things, but has also no emotional connection to you or your problems. Or, of course, it's important to speak to friends and family, but a lot of the times they have, an opinion based on bias, because they're either related to you or whatever. So basically, it's just your hour to speak about anything that you want to, and like we've had some conversations that you're like, what are we talking about? But the value that it brings is just, it's quite powerful. So I don't want to rant and rave about it. The point I'm trying to make is you cannot fill from an empty cup. So you've got to try and give time for yourself, work on yourself as a person. Try and be that bit better every day. Learn about yourself, learn about things, have an open mind. And I feel like personally it's just made me a bit more of an more rounded, grounded person. So that's about all I've got to say about that. Yeah, it's Wednesday evening. The guys got finished up without me. I think we will be back at that job tomorrow to crack on. And I'm away home for some dinner. So see you later. Can't beat laser lamps. Right, mate.
Alright, Ben. How's it going, mate?
Nothing less, mate.
I know.
Good afternoon, folks. It is Thursday afternoon. I've just pulled in to see the guys. I've not seen them this morning, and they're getting on fine. What a difference in that beds already. I dropped maybe 2 ton. It was at least 2 ton load yesterday, and there's another 2 ton in the back here easily of just material, soil / roots and weeds and stuff like that. So we have cleared a significant amount out of that bed, and it's not even that big of an area, but it's just the work involved in clearing that out. I often find it hard to justify to myself, what is involved in that and just the value of things. But ultimately, it doesn't matter what we are doing. If we're spending 5 hours doing grass cutting, 5 hours doing, chainsaw work, 5 hours doing that, digging out weeds and stuff like that, you need to make the same cost. A lot of people go, oh well, if I'm doing chainsaw work, I charge a little bit more. Yes, I understand the fact that you are, using more petrol and stuff like that, but if you have to change that variable every time you do something that involves, using that machine or this or that, or using more fuel, it's so difficult to structure. And I would try and encourage anyone to just have a sort of base rate that they need to make per day, regardless of what they're doing. So we aim to make the same rate regardless of what we're doing. Grass cutting, however, I've touched on this before, is slightly different, just the way we price it and everything. But again, you still have that sort of aim of what you want to make per day, per man and machine. For things like the digger and the track barrow and stuff like that, you do want to have like a sort of higher rate that you would charge that out at. But included in our day rate is the use of hand tools, strimmers, blowers, mowers and stuff. It just simplifies it. So, we've had 4 guys on site for the last 2 days, and 3 of them were there on Monday. It's quite a lot of work. I actually overestimated the job. Unusual. Often a lot of the times it's the opposite way around. I underestimate the job, and we were basically a day ahead of schedule. So instead of just taking that as a win and getting essentially a higher profit margin, because that client is investing quite a lot of money with us and into their garden, I said to them, look, I've overestimated the job. We actually have a little bit more in the budget. What we can do is, instead of adding on the additional cost and labour to do the bark mulch, we could actually do it within the initial price agreed. And they're absolutely delighted with that. They're not spending any more money, and we're delivering more of a service for the customer. We're still quids in, we're still making money at that job, we're not losing by any means. Yes, like I say, I could have just taken that as a win, but you have to have that sort of human element to it as well, where I'm not trying to rip anyone off. A lot of people probably would, but I value people and I value the relationship that you can build with clients, and there's 2 lovely people who have trusted us with their job, and in return I'm giving them more value than they expected to ever get for the price that we had agreed. Just thought I'd share that because it is important. And yeah, like I say, I will always try and go above and beyond for people, and it's more than just money. It's about your reputation and the service that you bring people, and what people think, and what people say about you, and the further compounding effect down the line of like, oh, we need help in our garden. Oh, get Ben, he helped us out so much. He was fair and they did a great job. The client, I was just speaking to the clients there, they're absolutely delighted. They say the guys work so hard, they barely stop, and that's, on their own doing. Such great team, you've got such great kit, like, how long have you been going and all this sort of stuff, and just really praising the team, the business, and everything that we're doing. And I don't try and downplay that. I try and say, yeah, look, we've got such a great team, because we genuinely do. We have our ups and our downs like any business does, but we have a great team here. And I couldn't be more prouder of that when you get clients like that who are genuinely so grateful for what you've done for them. And they literally said it, that they would never get that garden to the stage that it is now and to the standard that it is now. They just couldn't do it. So they've chosen to invest into us to do that for them, and they couldn't be more happy. So yeah, it's going well, and the morale seems pretty good on site. Guys are on good form. Kyle's sort of in his element with that side of things, and I like being able to sort of delegate that to him, and pass on that sort of responsibility, because he wants that, and it's a job that he likes doing and he likes getting involved in sort of directing. So yeah, pretty good. I am about to go and get a coffee and some lunch, and I'll see you after. So, been a bit all over the place just now. After my lunch, I headed to the dump with another load of waste. On my way back, I grabbed one more bag of bark from MKM because we were going to need an extra one. We had 3 delivered to site, but we weren't sure how many exactly we would need, and they had 1 spare. So on the way back, threw that on the trailer, dropped that off with the guys, and then I've just popped back to the yard to grab the pressure washer from the van, because we want to try and give everything a bit of a tidy up. It's been quite muddy and wet, so I think if we just pressure wash these stones up and get it looking nice, these little details make the difference. So yeah, we're going to be done there today. It's currently 3:20, so I'm just going to get out there, jump on the pressure washer myself and help the guys push on. We can throw the ground guards, the plywood onto the trailer, and yeah, it'd be good to just get that job sort of finished up and make sure they're happy with it all, which they are, and they're currently away at the moment. They went up to get some plants and stuff, but they were delighted when they left, and they will be delighted when they come back and see the beds full of mulch. Really want to aim that to sort of be our speciality of what we kind of do, because it's quite a simple service. You've got to know what you're doing in terms of plants and what you're taking out and what you're digging, and it's been good to have Kyle on board with that. Wow, that was a huge heading. That was massive. The things you see in the Scottish Highlands. So yeah, it's nice to see the guys commenting on the fact that like oh, what a difference it's made, and yesterday was a tough shift, but here's what our result is. Yeah, it's also important to give the guys that sort of praise and credibility of well done, you've done a good job, the client's happy. We'll then push for a review. I say push, we'll politely request, can you leave us a review? Often the client leaves us a review and they comment on the guys and how good they are. I share that with the guys, and then boosts morale. All these little things, little compounding effects that make such a difference. I'm all about. It's also quite nice to get the guys all in one job. It's not all the time that we have 4 guys on a job. A lot of times they're sort of split up, but because of the manpower needed for this job, I thought we would just throw everyone at it, get it done, get it out of the way, getting in that mentality of like, oh, do I push that job back? Do I push it back for another day where the weather's maybe not as good, or you know, just to spread it out, to spread the workload out. But in reality, it's important that we get these jobs in, we get them done, and we get them billed, because Gillian has just paid a 15.5 grand VAT bill, and it's closer to 16 actually. A 16 grand VAT bill that, yeah, has put us back into ultimately our overdraft, and that is the reality of it, folks. Not for everyone, not for all businesses. People who have their finances together, yeah, won't have to worry, but I can assure you there's a lot of businesses out there that do struggle with the cash flow element, and it's not always easy to juggle and easy to get right, and accountability on my own end, like we've spoke about many times. Yeah, it's not that we don't have the cash, it's we just do not have the cash in the bank. You know, we're frequently due between 10 and 20,000 from invoices. We're now taking deposits on jobs to help with cash flow. Joe's trying to guide me back here. He's making some funny movements. We'll get them out of the way, Joe. Yeah, as I was saying, it's just one of those things. The moment you feel like you're sort of getting somewhere, and we were kind of getting there, the bank was up. But it doesn't necessarily mean the bank being up doesn't mean that it's your money, you know. And it's crazy how much it fluctuates, and it's just numbers on a screen now. And you have 30 grand in your bank one minute, you've got 5 grand the next, and then you've got none. And again, it shouldn't necessarily be like that. I'm not saying that's the way it has to be, but it is a reality for a lot of businesses who aren't the greatest at sort of, I guess, managing cash flow. Either fall on hard times, either are forced into spending money. You know, vehicle bills, I just had to get this serviced, tyres changed, that was 700 quid, including VAT, but the beaver tail just went in to get fixed there. The steering column was getting a bit tight, that was another 500 pound. There's just, yeah, it's just always something to pay, and always a supplier to pay, and it is just relentless. And I am exposing myself a lot here, and a lot of people are like, why would you share that? Why would you share that you're in your overdraft? My purpose of this channel, my purpose of showing this stuff on social media is to help other business owners, and I have done that so far, and I'm making it a part of my mission to you know, yeah, just help and share the wins and the losses. Hello! Are you happy? Well, it's just a little attention to detail. Dav's have been here all the time. We do a bit of video vlogging of the jobs and everything like that. So we didn't quite get right the way around with the bark. That's with the fourth bag as well we got. And we spread these chips for you as well. I hope that's okay.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, just we tried to blend them in a wee bit, just saves the bag being
Absolutely.
there. So yeah, that's as far as the sort of bark would go.
What are we dreaming about them? Oh yes, definitely.
It just defines everything as well.
They're the greatest crimes.
Yeah. Well, you should be proud of yourselves, boys. It looks good. Really good.
Like putting Coke in whiskey.
Good effort.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one. See you later. So Colin, how have you found your experience with Morrison Lawn Landscape?
Absolutely excellent. We were so fortunate to find Morrison's. They've done a really fantastic job for us. A lot of work needs to be done. They've done 3 days solid, and we are delighted with the final results. Can't fault them.
So guys, as you can see, Elaine and Colin are absolutely delighted. I am delighted with the result. The guys are pretty chuffed with their work as well. And like I say, it's always great to see them taking pride in the job. And then, yeah, I can't thank them enough for it. This is what makes it all worth it, amongst all the negative and the problems that we face. And we get a job like that with a customer as great pub with a better job in the world. So thank you to the team. A thank you to Elaine and Colin for putting their trust in us, and for also doing a little video testimonial, which is the first I've ever had a customer do that. So it is, however, Thursday, and there's still one more day of the week to go wrong. So let's see if we can end it in a high. Totally jinxed it now. Well, folks, my suspicion of there still being enough room in the week for something to go wrong was right. Now, nothing has necessarily went wrong. However, Dav this morning, whilst litter picking the Inverness sites, took our van up to Autovision, Vauxhall, where it was booked in to get a module replaced. Said module was £760 to supply and fit. And the reason that we thought it needed replaced is the lights on the rear of the van were not coming on, and when our local garage plugged it in, it said that this module was indeed faulty. So booked it in, Vauxhall replaced the module, and we still have not fixed the lights. The lights are still not. So 760 quid later, and we are still a van down with lights that are. So instead of paying Vauxhall's £160 an hour, decided to take the van back down the road and put it back to our local garage and see if they can find the fault in either the wiring or the lights, or just figure out what's going wrong, and then hopefully they can fix it. But I can imagine we're going to be the best part of £1,000 to get this fixed. So it's days like this where it's like essentially like some of the guys are working for free, because not working for free, but we're basically like cancelling out a day's job to go and fix a van. And this is further reinforcing that although it is not your customer's responsibility when your van breaks, it is your responsibility to make sure that you're pricing enough to cover the costs of either the downtime of the van, or the inevitability of it needing to be fixed at some point in time. Because again, these things happen, they go wrong. We've spent thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of pounds in getting vehicles repaired and serviced, and yeah, we're obviously in a better place now where we have more up-to-date vehicles. However, the beaver tails are still, there's one's a 67 plate and one's an 18 plate, and it still will have issues. So yeah, one of those things. Anyway, I'm heading up to Inverness. The guys are on a tidy up job this morning, or today, basically going into our garden and giving it a right good overhaul. And we tend to do a lot of that this sort of time of year, and this is for a new client. So yeah, I stopped in by before I went up, and they're making good progress. And yeah, hopefully by the end of the day we'll have another happy client and another job ticked off the list to what would be an overall pretty successful week. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, please drop us a like, drop us a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about the videos, what you enjoy about them, what you think might need improved. I know that audio is mentioned often, and we've been trying to fix that. Just maybe it's the sort of balance of the audio. Sometimes it can be a bit quiet and loud, but we're trying to get on top of that, so this shouldn't be an issue going forward. But if you've made it this far along the video, I really appreciate the support, and again, I hope you enjoy and take some value away from what we share here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.